Bring back rock.
Hey everybody, it's Dean. Welcome to Bring Back Rock. Today we're talking about my underrated albums from 1987. I said in 85, the floodgates opened. In 86, the dam just collapsed. 87 may have been, I'll have to look at 88, maybe I'll change my mind, but 87 may have been the pinnacle of this type of music. I mean, there were some huge classic albums of the genre released during this year. Now, these are my underrated albums, but first I want to start with like a recap of where the music was at the time. So some of the big albums at the time, Kiss had came out with their album Crazy Nights, which was pretty big. Reason to Live was a big hit. The song Crazy Nights, really cool video, but didn't get quite the love I thought it would. Apparently, like in the UK, it was like the song of the summer that year. So another 70s band, Aerosmith, tried to come back with Done with Mirrors. Didn't quite work out. I don't think they were ready creatively. But with their follow-up, Permanent Vacation, which came out in 1987, they were back on top on songs like Ragdoll, Dude Looks Like a Lady, which was about Vince Neil, and Angel was like their biggest hit at the time. That leads me to the band I saw opening for them. And there's two albums that kind of went huge that started out a little slow. This is one of them. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction came out. There was some love with Welcome to the Jungle, but they didn't really break them huge until Sweet Child of Mine came out, and then forget it, one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Another one, same thing, started out a little slow until the right video came out. Def Leppard's Hysteria. I heard that the record company started out so slow and they put so much money into it, they're a little bit worried about and put all their promotion towards it because it's too big to fail. But everybody that heard that album knew Pour Some Sugar on Me should have been the first single, and it wasn't. So it took a little while to get going, and then it also became one of the biggest albums of the biggest selling albums ever. And another one that was just huge right out of the gate was Whitesnake's self-titled 1987 album. Another one that was huge. That video for Here I Go Again may have been like the quintessential 80s video. Great album. All three albums have gone diamond. 3 diamond releases in the same year. Whitesnake, Def Leppard, and Guns N' Roses. I mean, it was getting huge out there for hard rock. Motley Crue released Girls, 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 another big one. Great Wild Side video. Another huge album. As soon as that album came out, all the bands pretty much had motorcycles in their videos. Dokken came out with probably my favorite Dokken album, Back for the Attack, which was another big one. Let's see. Wasp released probably my favorite live album. It's definitely in the top 3. Scream Until You Like It was the video off of that, but Live in the Raw was a great live record. White Lion broke out with Pride. Wait was a huge one, and The Children Cry. Just another huge platinum selling record by White Lion. All right, so 1987, huge year for hard rock. Let's start with my underrated records. First one I have up is Armored Saint, Raising Fear. It was their third on Chrysalis and their last album on Chrysalis Records. They never really kind of broke through. They had a lot of momentum coming out of LA, but never really broke through to the big time. John Bush, of course, later went on to sing with Anthrax. I forgot to mention Delirious Nomad in my video for that year, but that's probably my favorite Armored Saint record. They returned to Metal Blade after this record and have been with them ever since. So Armored Saint, Raising Fear. Next up, we have the first band ever signed by Metal Blade Records, Bitch. The Bitch is back. Now this was 4 years after their debut album. It took a long time. They're having some legal issues and just took a while. I think it's a better album than their original. This is their second full-length album, so I think it's better than their original full-length album. I want to say Be My Slave. And I don't know, better songs, a better production, something. I just like The Bitch is Back a lot better. Next up, we have Alice Cooper, Raise Your Fist and Yell. Great, really good album cover. He had an amazing band at this time. He had Kip Winger on bass, Rod Morgenstein on drums. He went with Kip to Winger, and then you had Kane Roberts, of course, on guitar. Really kind of a horror-themed album. Songs like Chop, Chop, Chop and Roses on White Lace and Gale. Chop, Chop, Chop and Gale kind of were two songs that kind of went into one. Also Prince of Darkness, which was in the John Carpenter movie Prince of Darkness, kind of a creepy movie. I liked it a lot. Alice Cooper had a small part in it, and the song was actually played for just a little bit in the movie. So Alice Cooper, Raise Your Fist and Yell. Next up, one of my all-time favorite debut albums ever, Faster Pussycat's debut album. I remember GNR and Faster Pussycat were the two bands that were kind of coming out of LA at the time that had a lot of buzz on them. Jet Boy did too, out of San Francisco, and they're also playing in LA. That came out a little later. It had a lot of issues. Anyway, Faster Pussycat's debut was amazing. It was like a sleazier Aerosmith. I loved it from the first time I heard it. I probably even liked it a little bit more than Appetite, to be honest with you. At least to start with, they're pretty darn close. But I love Faster Pussycat's debut album. Waited a while for the videos to come out, but the videos were Bathroom Wall and Don't Change That Song. The album only went to number 97 on the Billboard album charts, and it failed to go gold. I should also mention Alice Cooper went to 73. I had that written down. I kind of forgot about it. So, all right, let's see what we got next. We have Lizzy Borden, Visual Lies. I remember thinking at the time this album had everything. It was produced by Max Norman. It only reached number 146 on the charts. It was kind of a little more of a commercial offering for them. I thought they hit it out of the park. It was metal, but with big hooks. Dockenish, maybe, I don't know. Me Against the World was the big video and the big single, but just didn't help crack this band any more than they already had. Some fans thought it was a little too commercial. Me Against the World also appeared on the Black Roses soundtrack. If you remember, there was a whole bunch of like heavy metal horror movies at the time, Trick or Treat being the most famous and probably the best. But you know, there was other ones like Rocktober Blood, Rock and Roll Nightmare, Hard Rock Zombie, Shock 'em Dead. I mean, there's a whole subgenre going on there at the time. Anyway, Visual Lies by the perpetually underrated Lizzy Borden was an underrated album in 1987. Next, we have another band that I absolutely loved. Tigertailz, Young and Crazy came out in 1987. I've talked about this before. I was in the import section, kind of flipping through them, and it stood out. It may be the most brightly colored album cover ever. Just it stood out next to, you know, like Impaler and Megadeth and stuff. So, Tigertailz, Young and Crazy. It's kind of, they look like Poison, but their sound-wise were more in the GNR, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat sound, the more sleazier LA stuff. The album budget was not very big, and I think the production is the one thing that holds this album back just a little bit, but the songs are so good it doesn't really matter all that much. It's also the only album they had that featured singer Stevie James on it, the original Tigertailz singer, before they ended up switching over on the next album, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the year that came out. So anyway, it was on Combat Records. And on a side note, I passed up on picking up the picture disc of this album, and I have been kicking myself ever since. And now it's just out of my price range. One more note on Tigertailz. I should mention that I have the vinyl and the CD, but they're both getting pretty expensive. However, they did just release a box set that does include the record, so you can pick it up in the box set if you're looking for it. Next up, Obsession, a great heavy metal band that featured singer Michael Viscera, who later went on to sing with Yngwie Malmsteen and Loudness. I remember For the Love of Money was the big single, the big video. I used to see it on Headbangers Ball quite a bit. Got quite a bit of play there. Great songs, Hard to the Core, High Treason, Methods of Madness. They're all really, really good. It's just a great album, a great metal album that deserves a little more love. Next up, Jeff Paris, Wired Up. A solid hard rock album from a guy who was around the scene a lot as a studio musician, usually on keyboard or guitar, and a songwriter also. He worked with bands like Y&T, Lita Ford, XYZ, and others. Mr. Big as well. And on this album, you'll hear songs that were covered by Vixen, including their hit single, Cryin', which is on this album originally. Also of note, Matt Sorum later in The Cult, and of course, GNR and Velvet Revolver plays drums on this one. So, Matt Paris, Wired Up. Next up, we have Frehley's Comet. Now, this album got quite a bit of airplay, Rock Soldiers especially, but Into the Night as well. It was self-titled, released by Megaforce. Now, number 43 on the charts. It came up just short of going gold. So, being underrated, should have gone at least gold. like I said, Rock Soldiers, Into the Night. Now, Into the Night was a cover of a Russ Ballard song, which he also did back in the New York Groove. So they're trying to get, lightning to strike twice with another hit off of another Russ Ballard cover. But didn't quite work out that way. Let's see, great songs, Rock Soldiers, Breakout, Dolls, We Got Your Rock. Lots of great stuff on this one. Frehley's Comet, underrated in 1987. Next up, we have a completely underrated album by a band that was at one time just absolutely huge. Twisted Sister, Love Is for Suckers is their 5th album. It was originally a Dee Snider solo album. It prominently features Reb Beach on guitar. The producer would have all 3 guitar players, play the solos, and Reb just usually came out on top. He's just a great player. Hot Love was the video, and I love the video for Hot Love. The girl in that video is absolutely gorgeous. So I remember seeing that a few times on MTV, but didn't totally, click, I guess. If you passed on the album, please revisit it. It's worth your time. You might be surprised. There are some really good songs on it, like the one I mentioned, and also the title track, Love Is for Suckers, which is a Poison Dolly's actual cover tune. Those are great. Other great standouts, in my opinion, are One Bad Habit, Me and the Boys, Yeah Right. You could really see this as a Dee Snider solo album. It was a little more commercial, just a slightly different sound, but I highly recommend Love Is for Suckers by Twisted Sister. Next, this band always makes my list whenever they put an album out. Keel, their self-titled debut album came out. It was produced by Michael Wagner, who worked with Wasp, Skid Row, Dokken, Great White, Accept, tons others. Big producer, kind of an engineer before that. It only went to number 79 on the Billboard album charts. It was their 4th album, their 3rd on a major label. No surprise to see this album on my list, like I said. They make it every time. No one asked me, but I would have released Cherry Lane as a single. They released Somebody's Waiting. Good song, but Cherry Lane should have been the single. Like I said, nobody asked me. United Nations is a great song. 4th of July, I Said the Wrong Thing, the Right Girl. Just a great album from start to finish. Keel, self-titled album. All right, next up we have Lion, Dangerous Attraction. It featured Mark Edwards from Steeler on drums. Doug Aldrich was the guitar player. They were most well known probably for having the theme song for the Transformers animated movie at the time. The re-release actually contains that song on it. This one, the original one didn't. The remastered re-release does. Good, solid hard rock album that gained a bit of a cult following by fans later on. Lion, Dangerous Attraction, underrated in 1987. So next up we have Helix. It was their 6th album. It was their last one under the Capitol Records contract. And after this one, Capitol Records did not continue on with Helix. Wild in the Streets is the album. It went 27 and gold in Canada, but a disappointing only 179 in the US. It delivered another solid slab of 80s hard rock, very consistent and a consistently underrated band. Check out my video on them for some more cool stories on Helix. All right, so I saved one of my best here near the end. Warlock, Triumph, and Agony, one of my all-time favorite albums. Only went to 80 in the US, but it did do better in Germany where it went gold, and it also went to 23. This album, in my opinion, deserved to make this band way, way bigger. All We Are was all over Headbangers Ball. I mean, we love Doro Pesch here. But such a good album, solid from start to finish. No bad songs. For Immer, also had a video, by the way. Let me just mention some of the songs. 3 Minute Warning, Kiss of Death, East Meets West, Touch of Evil. All bangers, along with, like I said, All We Are, which is probably their most popular song and still in their set. I think it closes the set still today. Just a great, great, great album that should have made Warlock a much bigger name here in the US. Okay, just got a couple more quick mentions. I want to mention Rock Candy, not the band Vince Neil used to be in. They are from Buffalo, New York. They released an album called Sucker for a Pretty Face. They really looked 80s glam hard rock, but the sound was often a little softer, a little more pop. But then they had songs that were a little harder. Just well written and performed. The album Fool for a Pretty Face by Rock Candy. Next up we have, I just want to mention it, it's Sleaze Bees. They had one before their major label US debut. They had a different singer. The singer's name was Tigo Fozzy. He was on vocals. They would place him with Andrew Elp before releasing their US debut, but That's an album for a different year. I didn't totally love this album. I thought they're a lot better when they changed singers, but still, Sleazebees started this year off. And one more Canadian band I wanted to mention is Platinum Blonde. Contact, their third album, it's more of a pop band. They've been compared to Duran Duran. The album had a few songs I liked, and guitarist Sergio Gali had some great playing, but I will always love this album for the song Contact. The name of the album is Contact, and the song Contact, I just love it. I don't know why, but it's such a good song. Contact by Platinum Blonde, released in 1987. All right, as I mentioned, there were two albums from 1986 that I wanted to mention real quick. The first one is Dr. Mastermind. I found this one going through the import section, of course, at my local record store. Saw the cover, a bunch of creepy dolls behind the guy. Dr. Mastermind is the name of this album and the band. He had the gauntlets, kind of didn't look like Blackie Lawless, but kind of had that look with the gauntlets and the big screws sticking out of it, and then the creepy dolls behind him, and had to check it out. So Dr. Mastermind. This album also had Dean Costanovo in it. The singer, Dr. Mastermind, was ex-Wild Dogs vocalist Matt McCourt. Dean Costanovo did some amazing drummings on this metal release. Dr. Mastermind released in 86, and I forgot to mention it. And another one that was released in 86 that I thought was released in 1987. If you saw my underrated viewer albums, this is the same story here. Raven, The Pack is Back. Love this album. I thought it was released in 87 because on the back of my Metal Mayhem re-release, it said Atlantic Records 1987. But I went back and double-checked the vinyl, and yes, it was released in 1986. So they went a lot more commercial. Atlantic was kind of pushing them that direction, and they lost a lot of like old fans over the last couple albums, the Atlantic Records. I think this album is great. A lot of fun, Rock Dogs, The Pack is Back, Burning Down the House. A lot of great songs on this one. I really like Raven, The Pack is Back. I thought it was released in 87. Metal Mayhem kind of messed me up, but it was released in 86. All right, so that's it. That is my underrated albums from 1987. I want to hear your underrated albums from 1987. Of course, in the comments, tell me what I missed, and so I can do a viewer's underrated one for 87 as well. So, all right, really appreciate everybody coming here, hitting the likes, the subscribes, the sharing them, the comments below. Love it all. Thank you for spending any time that you do on this channel. I really appreciate it. I will catch you on the next episode.